Welcome to the Service Experience Podcast. My name is Yoni Lavi. I'm the CEO of Qtrac, and this show is where we talk with leaders about the in-person service experience. Most companies have digitalized their online channels, but the physical visits is still a blind spot. We explore how leaders are turning that blind spot into an advantage, using real-time data and creating a higher value experience both for customers and the associate.
I've never sold a pair of glasses in a day of my life or contacts. I've consulted and helped people get what they were really looking for, even if they didn't know what they were looking for, and help them find a way to buy it. So getting that consultant approach.
I know you have a very extensive experience in retail optical. That's also kind of a big part of the market we're constantly looking at. Can you just tell me a little bit more about your personal experience?
Sure. It was basically started with a divine epiphany where I felt inspired to research and get into the optical field. I learned when I started researching where to take my life next from where I was in retail to this new path. And basically, I was learning that there was more people than ever before needing eyewear. More education and awareness was being built in the industry and globally. More baby boomers than ever were coming into that prime time where they were going to be needing multifocals, and more doctors retiring than what's coming up to replace them. So creating a deficit in the industry, kind of like the nurse shortage of the 80s is now the eye doctor shortage currently, and it's growing. It's getting bigger. So I felt this is kind of a foolproof place to be in. People are always going to need to see. They're always going to need that personal experience, no matter what technology exists in the world, no matter what AI or online, they're always going to need human interaction at some point in their journey. And since it was such a foolproof career path, no matter where I went, I initially was going to get into the industry as an optometrist. Did some pre-test, OATs, had a preliminary acceptance into Pennsylvania College of Optometry, and all I had to do was kind of finish what I was doing in my undergrad. And in my original start in the industry, I started working with an ophthalmologist at some point in there and picked his brain and decided I want a fuller scope of practice. I don't want to be limited by what's limited in optometry, which is very dependent by what state. So I started gearing my path towards pre-med generally and doing my undergrad requirements. Then life stepped in, and I had baby number one when I was 3 semesters short of going into med school. So since that took me on a whole different path, I had already obtained my optician license in this path and matriculated to Rutgers University for my 4-year degree, and just kind of went more head steam, full on into the optical role. I was an assistant manager in my first optical job. So I started opening my ears to other opportunities for being able to earn more and have a better solid path for my firstborn child. And that's what led me into more management. And I mean, I could take you through my resume, but that's how it all began for me.
That's a pretty that's a pretty exciting career path. And I know that eventually, first of all, I also have 3 kids, and I also had to make some tough decisions when career-wise once the bills started to rack up. So I get all that for sure. So eventually, you ended up in very large-scale leadership roles, overseeing a lot of retail operations. That's my understanding, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you said some really important things. One is that the demand always exceeds the supply of service that you can deliver. So that's going to create some operational bottlenecks. And then the other thing that you mentioned, which is key, is to deliver the outcomes you want, there must be an in-person component. So
yes.
Tell me a little bit about how you manage those two conflicting things across hundreds of stores, across some premier brands, maybe some higher volume brands.
Well, first, for the practitioner side, you always have to have a pipeline of talent. Just meet people, even if you're not going to hire them right away, or you don't have a need today. There's going to be a need at some point. There's always matriculation. There's always retirement. There's always other opportunities people may take, their life may change. So always having connections. So LinkedIn is a great way to connect with people like we connected. Other job programs, community outreach, other fields. There's similar fields to the optical business, like veterinary and dental and some certain kinds of nursing that kind of overlap their skill sets. And then as far as the business side, having the right selections for your area, for your demographic. Having locations in different places, sometimes you can tailor it to, well, this location, we're going to do these brands. This location, we're going to add this kind of selection while still having a basic core selection that is replicable across the different places. So you have your basic selection. This one may have more upscale. This may have more budget conscious. You just got to know the people who come to see you or who you're trying to pull in to come shop with you.
Makes a lot of sense. And, there's such a big variance in talent, especially those interacting with customers. How do you try and make all of your frontline associates operate like your very best ones? What are some different practices to make that happen?
The mindset I like to instill in my leaders is to build mini general managers. So everyone should feel like part of the ownership and own their results. So whatever interaction they have, whatever piece of the puzzle, they need to know what their impact is on the business and empower them to learn and grow and give them the responsibilities. So it's not just a paycheck to them, but it's hey, I'm developing, I'm building something, and I'm part of what I'm building, and I'm part of the success of what we're doing here.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, here's a question. What do you think is the biggest friction right now in the customer journey for Optical? Where do you see kind of some drop off or some challenges?
I know a lot of people are going to say it's the online factor. And to me, the online factor was a result of, number one, COVID. That was just a big part of it. But even before that, it was already starting. And that's the convenience and the pushiness of some people having a sales approach. I've never sold a pair of glasses in a day of my life or contacts. I've consulted and helped people get what they were really looking for, even if they didn't know what they were looking for, and help them find a way to buy it. So getting that consultant approach, not pushing product, because someone can come in and you can start saying, these are my $1,000 frames. These are my most expensive lenses. What's relevant about that to me? That's too much. And that, number one, tells me you just don't know what I'm telling you. You don't know the value because I haven't explained it or haven't connected the dots by first uncovering what you're even wanting and needing and looking for. And what is the doctor recommending on their conversations? And what am I recommending based on that knowledge and those answers to the questions that should be open-ended so you can kind of share a little bit about you? Then I can put it all together in a solution and then find out in your comfort zone, what are you willing to do? What are you okay with? And if budget's your concern, then we'll tailor it to your budget. If the best quality vision or the best looking frames, we tailor the consultation to what's going to fit that.
Wow, I 100% agree. I think that advice and consulting really is the purpose of in-person interactions. It's also where you build trust in a brand. Tell me if this statement lands with you. A lot of frontline associates, and I spend a lot of time in stores, they know that leadership expects them to advise and consult, but many of them don't have the bandwidth because they're bogged down by menial tasks. They're involved in maybe some clunky operational workflows. Are you seeing that on your end also?
Certainly there's challenges, and you have to have good coaches in your management and leadership to be able to help streamline processes, using the best tools and resources available, putting the patient first, so their experience is number one. And yes, you have to have a clean store. You have to have the right equipment. You have to have supplies. You can't run out of pens and paper. You have to have ink for the printer if need be. You have to have your internet. You have to have the bills paid, to keep the lights on. So that's a top-down approach. The patient pays the bills, so we got to deal with them first and help them first so that the money comes through. And if you do it ethically, if you do it so they know you sincerely care and you want them to come back and you want them to spread the word wide and far, then it's all going to fall into place. So prioritizing those needs.
Agreed. Some of the things we hear from optical or frontline teams are things like, collecting insurance information up front, or not triaging or batching pickup orders properly, or dispensing pickups. Little things like that get in the way of advising the next customer that really needs the consultation. But yeah, we're on the same page. I think everyone wants a world where frontline teams are giving that really good advice and building the brand. Um, to that end, how do you think about the role of the store versus the role of digital channels like online and call center?
I think that there's a way to make a happy marriage between all of them. If you're in the very old school thought process of this is my home and I'm going to bring you in and my furniture is stale and my product is stale, but maybe I'll get some new things here and there, and I don't care about social media, I'm just going to take care of who's in front of me. What you're ultimately going to see is your patient count is going to dwindle because people are going to die off, they're going to move away, and maybe their kids aren't going to stay around and be the next generation. You have to be proactive in that outreach. So incorporating an online presence, making sure you're seeking and asking for Google reviews and rewarding those patients with those little things that'll make it memorable to them. Not just, hey, came in, got an exam, got something to see, and paid money, and next time, maybe I'll go online. We want to make it more immersive and take those multiple channels and incorporate it all together.
So one of the really interesting things that we talk a lot with leaders like you is definitely the excitement around tech that you see online and in digital channels, mobile apps, call center. And then the store is kind of where you have the in-person and kind of build those connections. But what's really fascinating is bringing tech into the store. What kind of ideas or concepts do you already have experience in, or you've got your sights on in terms of tech in the store experience?
Well, it starts with outside the store first. We kind of centralize the process of a lot of things behind the scenes off-site so that the people in the location can be front and center and have that personal experience. Great technology as far as the exam process and what's in the exam lane, of being on the forefront of technology for the pre-testing so we can get the best evaluation possible and make it as convenient and as seamless. No more puff tests in the eye, which most people avoid an exam because they don't want to get that puff in their eye. Fine, we won't have to do that anymore. We have other tools for that are even better and even more accurate. And then being able to utilize things like tablets and lens simulators. That's huge. You can do the old school way and draw out things. Well, this is a line bifocal. This is one kind of progressive. This is another kind of progressive. But showing them real life simulators is much more advantageous. And the kinds of brands that we carry are well-known, globally recognized names. So they can see it online and come in and see it in their hands, firsthand, in their hands with the product. So if as long as it's accurate what they see online, they can come in and see it firsthand and know what they're getting and have a better expectation. Using technology to make sure we use as little paper as possible, which a lot of people are sensitive to those environmental needs. So we don't hand out the prescription. They agree and submit their approval that we're going to set them up in our portal to retrieve any of that information. Hey, you can get your prescription anytime you want. Just log into the website we set you up for, or the portal, I should say. It's secured. You don't have to worry about privacy. We're not selling or giving away that information, and it's yours. And if they want a paper copy, we'll certainly accommodate that, but it's just easier for most people to say, hey, it's on my phone, boom, done. They don't have to worry about anything else. And any other ways, we're always looking forward. What's the next thing? How can we streamline insurance processes? How can we make it so we have things set up in our own internal systems, shared documents and things that they can go to and pull information quickly without having to call 10 people, without having to spend an hour on the phone with the insurance companies. We have the breakdowns. We've done a lot of the work on the side so that in the location with the patients there, it's click, 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 find the information, and then go forward with the experience.
That's great. And a lot of that is really streamlining once again and giving bandwidth back to the frontline associate so they've got their strong sales track and they don't have to be bogged down by all those other tasks. That's great. What are some of the operational metrics or insights that you live and die by when it comes to running these large operations for retail optical?
Well, what keeps it going is, of course, patients. So we have to look at patient count. We have to look at the conversion of who came in and who's staying to buy, or who have we
Right.
brought in from the outside. We have to look at revenue per patient. So what's their total spend? Because that's the true health of where we're at. And then what adds to revenue per patient? Well, then you have your average dollar of each pair sold. What goes into that? What's the average frame cost? What's the average lenses? The lens enhancements that we can offer. So as we build that up, and then of course, multiple sales. That's where the true profit's driven, but that's when we're meeting and exceeding patient needs. They don't come in thinking I need 3 or 4 pairs of glasses. They think I need one that does it all. And we want to show them how that's a compromise. Do you want one pair that is okay for many different things, or do you want the best pair for the computer, the best pair for the sun, the best primary pair for what you're going to wear when you're not sitting 10 hours a day in front of a computer? What's going to work best? And I love teaching and using analogies. You can wear hiking boots to the beach. You can wear flip-flops to hike in, but one is going to do the job specifically for its intended task.
That's very good.
So that's how we make it relevant to the patient. Hey, you're complaining about your neck and your ergonomics and your back pain from lifting your head up and staring at the computer all day. We can make a better pair so you don't have to compromise your position and get that field of view for that 3 to 5 foot distance, and then put those down. Because you don't take your computer everywhere you go when you're walking around. You now put your primary pair on, so you can use that in your primary experience. And transitions and photochromics are wonderful when you're in and out in shopping centers that are being built up, especially here in Florida, everywhere, but they're not consistently dark, and they don't get rid of the reflected glare like a polarized lens. This is why this is more effective. So tailoring that conversation and making sure they understand those components, and all that will fall into place when we offer things ethically, when we look out for the patient and listen to them, and have great quality products that even if you want to get our basic lenses, it still steps above what you can buy in some other places that don't have the selection we have access to, and they don't use the most modern technology because they want to keep their costs as low as possible. And where we're at in our niche, it's not to drive to the bottom and race to the bottom of the cheapest possible. If you can't afford our most basic lens and frames, we understand. We're not for everybody. We can't be. We can't tailor to 0 to 100, so we go for the big 80% in the middle. That's going to be our bread and butter.
Yeah, knowing your customer, but certainly, I conversion rate and share of wallet, some measure of share of wallet, are amazing proxies for having a really strong operation and building brand loyalty.
Yes.
Are there some metrics that you wish you had that you don't have?
I wish I could read their minds sometimes. You got me there. I hadn't actually even thought or considered that. So if there's something I could have, it would be what's really what the insurance is going to pay before they pay us less than we expected based on the information. Like, hey, we thought we were going to get 50 for something, and we ended up getting 37.90. Where'd the missing money come from? Where'd this magical change? Or this patient paid this much for this plan, this patient's paid this much, but why is our reimbursement so different between the two? Even if it's the same pocket out of cost for them, why do we get more or less? So if we could have a magic button to really truly know the ultimate number in the end, so we can better plan on what our reimbursements and what we should set our retail costs for, that would be so helpful. Because it's always a battle where we have to write things off, or, oh, we got a little bit extra than we thought. We wanted to be more consistent and know ahead of time.
Fascinating. Well, last question here, because I don't want to take more of your time. I've learned a lot. It's been really insightful. As you're looking more on the 2 to 3 year horizon, where do you see technology making the biggest difference for optical retail operations? And of course, AI's got to be somewhere in that. But in general, what do you see ahead 2 to 3 years down the road?
AI is definitely at the forefront because I've learned so much even in just the last 6 to 10 months. Basically, how can we make it easier to book appointments, know what they need and seek ahead of time so we can be more prepared when they walk in the door, being able to figure out ways to incorporate that on our online presence, maybe putting more availability online to do things so they don't have to come in and use up time that's valuable to them, but still having that conduit for them to freely be able to walk in and get their needs taken care of. Other technologies would be modernizing, the next set of stores that we're going to open. I have 7 currently, and we have another 7 coming. So what's the best way to look forward so we don't have to re-up things in the next 2 years? How can we get ahead of the curve? Using technologies to reach out to customers and bringing them back in. So we've been open for about 7 or 8 years. What can we do more easily and efficiently to reach back out to the beginning and pull those people back in that maybe we've lost along the way? Maybe they just went somewhere else because they saw an ad. Maybe they didn't have a great experience 7 or 8 years ago for some reason, but we have different managers or different doctors in place that we know are going to give a better example. And being able to reach out and let them know we've got new kids on the block and we want you to experience what we've done to improve everything that you have coming in. And not to take away from employment, but how can we utilize our employees on the spot without having to take every single phone call? Is there maybe some kind of AI chat that can help us take those calls and put them in the right place without it being so robotic? Because I know that's what it has been in the past. It's getting better, and I know there's even more on the horizon too.
Love that. Well, Chris, thank you so much. That was great.
Thanks for listening to the Service Experience Podcast. If you want to see how we're helping leaders close that in-person blind spot, fueling sharper decisions and greater value for customers and the enterprise, visit Qtrac.com.